If you're a junior developer and you're trying to get a job, especially if you're trying to get your first job in today's market, you're probably having a lot of issues trying to find somebody who will even give you an interview. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that are outside your control in this situation, but there are some things that are in your control that you can actually change to make yourself a better prospect. Today, I want to give you one simple tweak to the way that you practice and the way that you learn that I think will open up more opportunities for you to get interviews and potentially to get your first job. So what is that tweak? Let's dive in. Hey Junior Devs, Dev Mentor Dave here, helping you bridge the gap from learning to code to launching a successful career. And part of launching that successful career is knowing what you need to do to tweak the way that you're working in order to get that first job in the process of that successful career. Now, the problem that we're trying to fix is that most employers really are looking for a mid-level developer and not a junior developer for a lot of the positions they have open right now. However, they still market them as if they're looking for junior developers. They just want more experience than most real junior developers actually have. So how do we go about getting you that experience that is necessary on your resume and that you can talk about in your interviews without having to have a real job? Well, that's where this simple little tweak comes into the way that you learn and the way that you practice writing code. That simple tweak is that you need to think about your learning and your practice as if it is a real job. In fact, you not only need to think about it that way, but you need to actually perform it that way. What am I talking about? I'm talking about treating your learning and your practice work as freelance jobs. Now, before we go any further, please understand, I'm not telling you to lie on your resume or lie in your interviews. What I'm telling you to do is actually change the way you think and the way you go about learning and practicing code. Before I jump into how to do this, I want to explain why this is a valid thing to do. See, first of all, companies are looking for people with real-world experience. Freelancing, if done properly and done well, is real-world experience. You don't have to have a full-time job for an employer to have real-world experience building real applications or real websites or whatever it is that you're building. Also, freelance is a valid approach because freelancing doesn't mean that you got paid for it. In fact, when I've interviewed developers, I've never asked them really anything about the company they worked for or how much they got paid or anything like that. And I've certainly never asked any freelancers if they actually got paid for the jobs that they had listed on their resume. Freelancing is also valid because it's going to require you to learn new things. Anytime you do a freelance job, you're always going to learn something new in that process. Anytime you do any job, you're going to learn something new. So freelance is no different than any other job you would have. Now, if you spend a lot of time on YouTube or LinkedIn or other places and you've heard a lot of talking heads like me telling you all the things that you should do to help yourself grow as a junior developer, you've probably heard a lot of us tell you that you need to be working on real projects, not just doing tutorials. You need to actually build real projects. Well, the best way to do that is to make freelance projects. Okay, so we know that freelance projects are valid when it comes to figuring out if you've done real work or not. But the question is, how do we go about doing that with our learning and practice process? Well, like I said, you just need to treat it as if it's a freelance project. So the first thing you need to do is go out and find small freelance projects. They don't have to be massive applications that you're building. They can just be a very small application that helps somebody with a problem that they have. This is where you go talk to your friends and family members. You go talk to business acquaintances and other people in your network, perhaps even on LinkedIn or YouTube or something like that, and find out things that they're struggling with, things that they would love to automate, things that they would like to have from an application standpoint or even a website standpoint. Go out there and find projects for someone specific. That's really important. I'll explain why here in a minute, why it needs to be for somebody else and not just something that you want to work on. So you've got a project that's based on somebody else's needs. So now treat it like a real project. Do the things that you would do as if it's for a real freelance project. Set up a private repository for that project. Create an actual deployment process and actually deploy the project somewhere when it's done. Don't just fill it up with weird fake data. Use it like it's supposed to be used. Have other people use it like it's supposed to be used so you can actually get feedback on it. Use a real project name. Call it something real. Even ask the person that you're doing it for what they would like it to be called. And as you're going, document the features that you're creating so that you can go back and you can talk about the things that you've actually built to help somebody else in their problem. This is really crucial when it comes to updating your resume. You need to be able to list out the cool things that you built for this customer to help meet their needs. And then, of course, you need to practice talking about the project that you built as if it is a project. And again, that's why you do it for someone else. You want to make sure that your focus in building it is not on what you want, but it's on what they want. That's a freelance project. Whether they pay you $5 for it or $100 for it or $1,000 for it or nothing for it. It's still real world freelance work if you're building something to meet somebody else's need. Now, could you technically do that with your own projects? Yes, but it's a little bit more obvious that it's more practice work when it's your own project, especially if it's not something that's out there that you're selling or something like that. If you do this for other people, you can talk about your client in a real way. And that's one of the main things you need to be able to do. You need to be able to talk about the needs and the problems that the client had and how you were able to solve those with your application. As you're building those projects, think of things that you want to learn and implement those new languages or frameworks or whatever it is into that project. The client probably doesn't care. So this is an opportunity for you to use this freelance project to learn something new and get real world experience at the same time. And not just random real world experience, but real world experience you can put on a resume and say, I did this for a client. As somebody who reads resumes fairly frequently and does interviews for developers, I can tell you that one of the things I look for is how this person helped somebody else. How did they solve a problem? Because at the end of the day, that's what we do. We solve problems with code. So if you can show me that you helped other people with their problems and solved it with code, and you can tell me what you learned and tell me what you're proud of with that project, that's going to go a long way compared to somebody else who just talks about the things that they've been learning all the time. So if you just tweak a little bit the way that you go about learning and the way you go about practicing and turn it into more of a freelance process, that just might be what you need to get that next interview or to get that job. Now, I know I threw a lot at you in this video, but if there's anything you'd like me to go into more detail on, leave a comment below and I'll try to do that in an upcoming video. Well, I hope this has been a help to you on your development journey. And if so, I'd really appreciate it if you'd click the like button for me. It just tells YouTube, hey, people are interested in this content, and hopefully it'll share it out to more people and it'll be a help to others as well. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified the next time I upload a video or the next time I go live, which is generally every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon Central United States time. Thanks for spending time with me today, and I'll see you on the next one.